First of all, I had a lot of fun making this video because rice and beans, or rice and peas as they say in Jamaica, this dish is one of my favorite foods. The second reason why I had a lot of fun making this video is because I used a lens, a Chinon 50mm lens from the mid-60s, an old-fashioned manual lens on a modern camera. But let's start. I used coconut milk and kidney beans. These are the two main ingredients along with rice, of course. Coconut milk, not coconut water, and beans. I use canned beans, even though the experts will tell you that you're better off using dried beans soaked overnight in the refrigerator. The coconut milk, in my opinion, adds a certain flavor that cannot be duplicated. It's impossible, I think, to make rice and peas without coconut milk. As for the seasoning, I use thyme, onion, scallion, some salt pork, and sugar. Salt pork I cut up in little tiny bits of pieces. To me, this is an option. If you don't care to have meat in your rice and peas, don't put it in. Leave it out entirely. I put it in because I like the flavor. As for the onion, scallion, and thyme, this is what I use. My only problem was that I did not use a touch of garlic in it. But that's okay, maybe next time. The coconut milk, you'll notice 1 can of coconut milk is equal to approximately 2 cups. Okay, so here's a recipe so far. 1 can of coconut milk, 1 can of beans that is drained of all its liquid. That's important, okay? So the bean goes into the pot first of all, and once the bean is in, then I add the coconut milk. That's simple. So now we have beans and coconut milk. Here, the option is to add salt and pepper or not. When I'm cooking any dish that I'm about to share with others, I will usually not add salt. It's almost impossible to take salt out of a food, but you can always add it. Then I bring it to a simmer, meaning that the coconut milk and the beans are now simmering, and this will go on for approximately 30 minutes. At the end of 30 minutes, I add again the option of adding salt pork, cut up in nice little bite-sized pieces, and once again I stir my pot. That's important, to continually serve the pot. And again, I put this back on the stove and it simmers for about 15-20 more minutes. The idea is to get the coconut milk and the salt, pork, and the beans all simmering. Then I get 1 cup of hot water. Now the reason why I use hot water is very simple, because I don't want to slow the cooking process down. To that hot water I will add 1 teaspoon of brown sugar. Now adding brown sugar to coconut milk and to rice and to beans is a trick that I learned from my cousin, and I have used it ever since because it works for me. Then I add that to my beans that have been simmering for approximately 40-45 minutes in the coconut milk. Once I add that to the beans, all is well, because now the last part, which is to add 1 cup of rice to the beans that have been simmering and to the coconut milk that has been simmering. Finally, once I've added that water to it, excuse me, I will now add the rice to it. Excuse me. Forgive me, okay? I will now add the rice to it, and the rice is added. All I need to do now is to stir everything up well. Once I have stirred everything up well, keep in mind this is like the last 30, maybe 35 minutes of the entire of the entire process. Once that is done, then all is well. It's a matter of cruising. It's a matter of going downhill from here. I will add, remember, the scallion, onion, and thyme. Perhaps I should have added more thyme. There's one other thing I want to tell you. This is a good time to add a Scotch bonnet pepper whole right on top and let it simmer for 15 minutes or so after you've stirred the rice and everything in the pot like that. Stir it all well. If you want to, you can put a whole Scotch bonnet pepper on top. Do not cut it up. And once you're done with that, of course, after 15 minutes, remove the Scotch bonnet pepper. All it did was to add flavor. Needless to say, in the last 30 minutes, you would add the lid and you would stir frequently. At the end, this is what you have. Do not stir in the Scotch bonnet pepper into the rice and peas because it'll be so hot you cannot eat it. Anyway, this is what you have. Rice and beans, Microdac style. Please don't forget to add your comments and your suggestions. And thank you so very much for watching and for subscribing to the channel.